When you've got a great ball club. Sports. When you're leaving it all on the field. Sports. When you like your team's chances. Sports. To survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey! Hey! Hey!
Fortunately, the stream coming at you on a Wednesday morning. Another Canes game day. I don't know if the Canes are going to do it for every game, but I liked how for game one, I felt like I was getting like a piece of hype machine content every hour on the hour for like 12 hours leading up to the game.
It's because game two doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Well, we'll discuss that. Josh Goodson, Ben Swain, Brian Geisinger in the house. I am Hayes Permar. I guess the Weather Moose, maybe he's in the hospital or something with his hurt boo-boo. He scratched his elbow. We'll talk Canes. We talk state football, UNC basketball, Duke basketball. The coaching staff met the media yesterday. I don't know if John Scheyer start by spelling his name for everybody, or is he already done that? But right now, all the focus is on the Canes. They are in action, and they look like a team that has more than first-round aspirations as they took care. They went a blowout from the jump, but it ended up being a blowout. Canes flexed, got the 5-1 win. Game two tonight. Goodson, why is game two the least important game?
If you've won game one and you're the overwhelming favorite, so you're not on the road. You've kind of lost the luster of it being the first playoff game. You can kind of lose tonight, and it's kind of whatever because the thought is like, you'll probably go still one on the road and then come back and win 5, and you'll be okay. There's just the hype leading into game one and then actually winning game one in that fashion just kind of makes today just kind of a mega. I'm not even going.
It sounds like Goodson trying to justify the fact that he's not going to the game. So good to know that's the true motivation there. Brian,
I assumed that Goodson, this was referring to the second game on NC State football's 2022 schedule, which is Charleston Southern. So, yeah, that does look like the least important game. It's assuming, yeah, although it could be a get-right game for the Packers.
You don't want to start 0-2, though. Yeah, you don't want to start 0-2.
Kick him out.
Charleston Southern, that's a big game.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about that because if State's blowing out Charleston Southern and Devin Leary goes to the bench and doesn't get his Heisman numbers, that's a problem. Like that game's
got to be game. Got to put
up 300 in the first half of the spring game against arguably the best defense in the country. What do you think he's going to do against Charleston Southern in
the spring game?
Do what?
You played against Pitt in the spring game?
We'll get there.
Look, hold on. Last thing. If Devin Leary loses out on stats like that because of a blowout and he's not able to rack up some numbers, it's going to be the biggest travesty in a QB possible stat padding in ACC triangle history since a hurricane ruined Mitch Trubisky's Heisman in 2016, as we certainly all remember once upon a time. Hurricane Matthew, we have not forgotten you in these parts for many reasons, in part because Mitch Trubisky doesn't have a Heisman Trophy. It's sitting on the mantle.
I mean, let's address what Goodson said because it might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Game 2 is critical. It is critical. Like,
for who?
You do not want to be 1-1 going into Boston. You do not want, because, like you said, the luster of our first home game here. Game 3 is the luster of their first home game there. And if they're 2-1, if they're up 2-1 after that game, Canes are screwed. Tonight is enormous. And I don't know how you see it any other way than that. It's ridiculous. Game 2 is extremely important.
Yeah, they lose tonight. They literally lose home ice advantage, right? Like technically.
Now, if you're on the road and you win game 1, right? Game 2 is not that important to you. I will give you that. The game 2 is not important if you already got to win on the road. But you got to win at home. It's a home game. You got to win that game.
You just wait. When the Canes lose tonight, I'm going to tell you game 3 is the least important game after game 2. You just wait.
Well, the thing is, if Boston wins tonight, game 3 will actually be game 1, right? Because the series doesn't start until the
True. That's true.
got to make sure we have the math correct here.
Yeah, we aren't even in game one yet. The series has not started.
No.
Yeah, this is week 0 of the Stanley Cup playoffs right now.
I do like maybe Goodson's just trying to go to a trend. For decades, and we've been trying to pull ourselves out of it. There's a smart-minded sports media of which we like to put ourselves in. For decades, every time throughout NBA, this is probably baseball too. Anything that has series for their playoffs, like you have to start at game 1, game 4, games doesn't matter. Is this a must-win game? When everyone knows the only real must-win game is the game that if you lose, your season's over, right? So Goodson's now just going the other way. Every game is the least important game until somebody could lose and be out. Until you have 3 losses against you, none of the games actually matter. It's all,
Fair.
You have real teams.
Especially in a game where it's just based on luck to begin with. So.
Shout out to Andrew and Steven, both shouting out the Pitt defense. We respect long-time listeners.
Defense not
we almost had overtime playoff e-bug action last night. Were you on the edge of your seat for that?
Who played? I don't
even know what e-bug is.
Yeah, Rangers and Penguins were in overtime, and the Penguins goalie, who was actually their second string goalie because their starters got hurt in overtime, so their third string goalie came in to the point where people were tweeting out the name of the emergency backup.
And let me guess. The e-bug was like, oh, this guy's never played hockey. Then you go look. No, he played 17 years of junior hockey and played 3 years of college, but. It's just
he played college hockey and college golf.
They make it act like it's just literally going through the stands or that guy. That guy, we need you. It's an emergency. When you have somebody who's literally played the game before in some sense of a heightened competitive level, it's not an emergency. Stop. Just stop.
Look at it this way. It would be like an NBA team having to turn to somebody that could never play in the NBA, like Caleb Love and Armando Bacot. Putting a guy they play college basketball, right? But they couldn't possibly play in the NBA.
UNC guys are just going to be they're going to be the it won't be a bug.
E-buck. That's what backup center.
EJ Stewart was an emergency backup point guard this year for several teams. The greatest tweet I saw last night, the game was at New York, it was in Madison Square Garden, and somebody said Billy Joel is the emergency backup goalie.
And that would actually suffice.
If that came out, that would be a story. If Billy Joel comes out, saves the game, and then plays New York State of Mind. And afterwards, that's the greatest moment in hockey history. Oh God, that team should have to be forced to have an emergency goalie that has to be famous. You have to be known for some other walk of life, or in PNC.
Your walk of life can't be known for literally playing hockey all
your life. That's what I mean. But in PNC, Kevin Keats or Dave Doran could be the emergency backup goalie. Every hockey team, it should have to be somebody like that, like Billy Joel in Madison Square Garden.
Why's it got to be Kevin Keats though?
Because I was just thinking who plays in PNC Arena. Sorry, we can have I don't know, have Scotty McCreery be the emergency backup goalie. There you go. Somebody like that. Everybody's got to have a musician tabbed as the emergency.
Yeah, that would be awesome. By the way,
what about a franchise legend? What if Arthur Urbe was the backup? You just have a franchise legend on hand.
That's too good. That's too good.
Yeah, that's what the NBA was doing in COVID when so many dudes were out. It was all right, Joe Johnson, you're up.
Michael Redd, get back your bag, buddy.
PG, I saw you starting to say something earlier. Did you?
I was going to say we were talking about the strength of Pitt's defense a couple of minutes ago, but they weren't able to keep Jordan Addison out of the transfer portal. So I don't know. Maybe that Pitt's defense is maybe looking a little overrated these days, actually.
That's true. Well, the Pitt defense has always been tongue in cheek, right? So we've always questioned their defense here at Sports Channel 8. So, Swain, why will the Canes win tonight? By the way, I tried to find it. Multiple people. The team GM has to come and be the e-bug. I think Don Waddell could snag a few shots.
Absolutely.
I believe I nailed the final score. I said we're going to be up 4-1, and I said Aho would have an empty netter, but it was somebody. Aho almost had one, but somebody else got the empty
He
netter.
passes his fetch. He passes his fetch.
Yeah. So multiple people dinged me, which that I predicted it.
I got shamed for leaving early. I left. I took a big group, and I'll get your thoughts on this, and then we'll ask Swain why the Canes are going to win. But Canes scored the empty netter, 5-1, and I think there may have still been like what, a minute left.
Like a minute left.
And I was driving, and I was like, "Let's go."
Let's go.
And like that, leaving 5 minutes early saves you 45 minutes. Like there, and I got like shamed by my friends, like, "Oh, we had to leave early. I wish we could have stayed to the end." I was like, "For what? Who cares about the 3 stars?" And like, they don't do the freaking thing anymore. They don't do the storm surge anymore. Like
they did. You missed 3 critical things in the game. One, the playoff storm surge, which again we've agreed that it's dumb now. But 2 bits of controversy. We had a late hit with 5 seconds left where the dude he did a dirty hit and then skated out of the scrum. He somehow avoided, like, it was a dirty hit. All the players came together. It was a little scuffle, and he somehow skated out of it, which was a bitch move on his part. And then 2, the controversy, which nobody knew about that was watching it on TV. Who does Abby always interview after the game?
The number one's the first star.
First star, right? First star in game 1 was Auntie Ranta. So she sits down to do her interview, and she's with Vincent Trocheck. And so everybody's like, what? Did Ranta just said, like, nah, I'm good. I'm out of here. But we found out the next day that actually ESPN gets dibs on the interview. So I propose that the Canes should do that from now on, that Abby always interviews the second star of the game. And it just becomes a thing that we do.
Is it okay to leave early? Am I a bad person? Where are y'all on leaving early?
It's fine to leave early. People who
All right, I will say, post empty net, it does feel like, hold on, like if it's an empty net goal, that is almost as signaling as the end of anything.
And it was game 1. This wasn't game 7. There wasn't like a tonight. I would leave like 20 minutes to go. I would leave after the second period, like at this, maybe even the first period. I don't know if I win.
I think it depends on why you go, right? Like if you go to see what the outcome of the game is, sure, leave early. But if you're going to like experience the playoff hockey game, you got to stay till the end.
That I was gonna say playoffs might be a different bag. You know me, man. I was trying to leave that that Duke at UNC game with 8 minutes to go in the first half. I was ready to bounce. I could smell that there. Like
I am definitely like leaving Canes playoff games with Hayes. Like I have like sprinted out with you.
Yeah,
because when it's time to go, it's time to go.
It's important.
You have to be able to size up your group. If it's you and another dude in the car and you're friends and you know, like, we can stay to the end, but we're not above, like, you know, sliding kids a little bit out of the way and like being a little aggressive in the line, and we are running to the car because Goodson does have a point. Like every minute is 12 minutes of parking time. Like every minute you save, it's like, you know, whatever. So
what are you hustling home for, right? Like I'll give you.
I have a newborn one time, dude. I had to
sleep. You didn't do anything when you got home.
Yeah, I did. He was awake. He was awake when I got home.
No, the only acceptable time to leave early is if you say, look,
if it's halftime at NC State football games.
Game's going to be over at like 10:30. So that means I'll be home at like 11:30 because you know the traffic's bad. Leave at 10. Go somewhere else. You have until 11:30 now. That is the only reason to leave a game early ever. I'm not a leave early guy.
That reminds me. Somebody has done that to a larger degree. Swain. That sounds like a husband / dad move. Brent was telling me about a guy this weekend. I won't say his name on here, but when he has like a weekend trip, either with guys or for work. He tells his wife that the trip is through Monday. He gets back Sunday, gets a hotel room, and just unwinds for the night back in town.
I think I just do the opposite. I'm like I will press the limits and stretch the limits on the front end. Like we talked the other day, it's like the game doesn't start till 7. Why are you leaving at 1? It's like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go play golf,
Right.
whatever. When I want to go home, I want to go home.
I don't like sitting in traffic either.
I'm not a leave early guy, but like I don't mind. Like I get why other people do it, I guess is what I'm saying. But I do. I have the thing where I feel like I need to I'm there. I feel like I need to be there through the end. But again, people who leave early to beat traffic, like I don't know. I get it.
What was the demographics of the fans like? Hold on.
Slow down that question.
Fans versus Bruins fans. What was the split? Would you say?
It was kind of hard. I'm going to say it was hard to tell because I didn't notice a ton of Boston. I mean, maybe 10%. Like it probably would have had like Boston getting one of those early shots through, right, to make it go 1-0 to where you could maybe fully realize like how many are there and you could kind of get a gauge. But where I was, there was not that many. And my seats are on the Boston shoots twice side. So in theory, if there was going to be any there, you would think they would be there. So maybe 10%, but I'm not good with estimate. I'm bad with crowds. Like how many people are here? I'm like, I don't know, like 20,000. Like cool. Whatever.
Pretty good guess when PNC is full. That's the other thing about leaving early. You miss out on waving goodbye to the opposing fans in the arena. That's always one of the most delicious parts of a playoff victory. Like, oh, bye. Oh, you wore the jersey. Like you identified yourself as a fan. You were ready to ride, and it didn't happen. Bye. Later. All right. Moving on. The ESPN hype beast for ACC teams was churning out some content. I mean, nobody's hyping NC State football more than Goodson. But Goodson, what did you feel about Dave Doran calling Devin Leary the best quarterback in the country? I like how this happens a lot of times where news outlet will put phrase in their headline that's making it appear that they're kind of owning that phrase, but then you see the quotes and it's like somebody else has said, we're not saying this. Somebody else has said it. Here it was NC State and according to Dave Doran, the best quarterback in the country, look for college football playoff run. Goodson, you've been embracing the hype. Now that it's fully upon you, are you getting nervous?
No. At some point, we have to get rid of this defeatist attitude, right? You can't play both sides. You can't say your team's going to win all your games and also be like, well, look, we play ECU first, and like we always lose down there, and like woe is me. Like no, like they got a good quarterback coming back. They got all their defense coming back. They should probably be really good this year.
All right.
I'm cool with it. House money, personally.
House money. It is house money this year.
You got to beat ECU, and then it's all house money after that. You got to beat your rival, and then it's all house money after that. Speaking of hype machine, and speaking of house money, UNC coming in first in ESPN's way too early top 25. Obviously, that's an easy choice with
that projected starting lineup.
Yes, Dwayne. Yes, but in order to avoid just Dwayne jumping on that.
Wait. Wait, go back up.
I love that they put the projected starting lineup.
What's wrong with that starting lineup, Swain?
Leaky Black and Puff Johnson.
They'll be all right. Puff Johnson's going to up his 3-point percentage.
Yeah, okay.
Houston number 2 and Creighton number 5.
No, that's where I wanted to get to. Creighton number 5. Come on, BG, can you defend this?
No, he's going to try.
I mean, Houston was undervalued this year. We talked about it on the show. It was like
I'm fine on Houston. They've been around. That they proved themselves.
They also Houston they have a big recruiting class coming in, including this guy called Jarris Walker, who a lot of ACC teams offered. He was a 5-star guy. I don't know. Creighton brings a lot of guys back. Like Ryan Kalkbrenner is a very good shot blocker at center that can finish. Ryan Emhart's a really good point guard. Trey Alexander got hot late in the season. Arthur Kaluma is an NBA prospect. So they've got they have pros on that roster. If that's, I mean, they do. I don't know what to tell you. They're probably 3 or 4 of those guys are NBA players. If not, probably 4 of them are NBA players.
It's Creighton.
Do they play in the Big? They play in the Big East.
They play in the Big East. Yes. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. They're going to be probably like top 10 offensively.
There should not be any team in the top 10 where you're like, what conference they play in?
Yeah, but that's a horrible rubric. It's like, does Hayes know what conference? Crazy.
I got it right. Hey, I got it right.
I know.
I said it just to confirm, and I knew they were in the Big East. I was just making sure. I'm glad they not too long ago they were in like the Missouri Valley or some shit. I just wanted to make sure they're going to at least get a challenge or two during conference season. But yes, they do smell to me like a 2 seed that'll fall to 9 seed Florida State in the second round and get beat by a real team. I'm suspect. I did see somebody that was like obviously a more college basketball following person than I do. That was like, yo, Creighton's got a really good team. It was almost kind of saying like the same process that gets you UNC at number 1 is like, we don't really know. The transfer portal hadn't shaken out. We don't totally know who the good players are. So they just go with based on where he finished last year and who's coming back. It's the easiest way to just line these teams up. And there was a guy basically breaking down like, I think Creighton's going to be a good team. This is more a byproduct of like, we don't know what a lot of rosters are going to look like. Or even if we know what they look like, we don't know how good those rosters are.
It's like Creighton was pretty good this year after they lost a lot of guys from the team 2 seasons ago. Like it's like an elite X and O's program. They shoot a bunch of threes. They have like the right shot chart. They take a ton of shots at the rim, lots of dunks and threes, elite X and O's, and they've got several NBA players, future pros on that roster. Like it's not like that formula is usually pretty good in college basketball.
I think they need a better name
than way too early. Top 25 or
Creighton. Like
in the Blue
Gonzaga, like Gonzaga kind of worked. Right, you just Gonzaga, that name, just like, oh, you're probably good. Like, yeah, like cool. Like we could buy into it.
It is, by the way, it is going to be interesting to see like what comes of Gonzaga now that it seems like Tommy Lloyd and their backman went south to Arizona, because like Gonzaga does not have the same like caliber of like recruits and stuff coming in next year. Like it's going to be really interesting to see like how sustainable this is, because it does seem like. Their recruiting is we'll see if it's like a 1-year blip or if this is in fact like the end of Gonzaga getting like top upper crust talent.
Yes.
Counterpoint, nothing about Gonzaga is interesting.
Their name's interesting.
Creighton is definitely
you talk an awful lot about Gonzaga for someone who doesn't think they're interesting, Slane. You talk an awful lot about Gonzaga.
Let me get my Creighton. There's definitely a girl that goes to the University of Virginia whose first name is Creighton.
Correct.
Great.
Like they just need I don't know what it would be. Like it needs to be like Omaha A&M or like I don't know, like just something. Like Creighton just doesn't scare you, but like I don't know what Omaha Tech or
I get you Gonzaga because it has a Z. Like if they were Xavier. It'd be like Xavier.
Like Xavier sounds cool. Like Xavier sounds like they might be good at
it's
sports.
It's like if you're gonna be a mid-major like power, your like school name needs to be above a certain letter of like points on like Scrabble. If you're thinking of like different points for like letters,
yeah.
It's gotta be above. It's gotta be like at least 20 or more, like in terms of like a Scrabble score. For you to be like
you might need a hyphen. You might need a hyphen in there.
Yeah,
too. That might be another.
Yeah.
Like think of the like Georgetown like is maybe not a mid-major anymore. Georgetown sounded cool, sounded strong.
They're in the same conference as Creighton.
Creighton just doesn't wow you or scare you. You're like,
speaking of hyphen, what if Creighton had a second word attached to it, like Creighton hyphen something else?
That would
Creighton
be
State,
some more syllables,
Creighton,
right?
Yeah, Creighton Tech, yeah.
Creighton Gonzaga.
What if they were Mount Creighton?
Mountain Creighton.
Ooh,
Mountain Creighton might work like that. I could see that work.
Creighton Valley, Creighton. Yeah, we got to work on that. We should be like branding consultants for mid majors.
Yeah,
we'll tell you how to get to be popular.
I like Mount Creighton. I think he could be Mount Creighton.
Like Virginia Commonwealth isn't cool. VCU, cool.
VCU is cool. Yeah. It is interesting that like VCU really has kept like the same aesthetic like through like probably like 5 different coaches now. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I feel like going back to like Capel and Anthony Grant, like through Shaka, through Will Wade, and now through Mike Rhodes. I just feel like they're kind of like, they like found something that worked, you know. And I feel like the program like looks the same. They have like that like Villanova, like every team looks very similar to the one the years past, and just because they've like hit on something.
I don't know if Will Wade had the same vibe, but he definitely could rent it for a while. So
Yeah.
he can pay for that vibe for the
Now I'm just looking at cool mid-major names like Valparaiso.
That's another one. You're crushing it in Scrabble. It's long.
What about Krato? Just drop the N. We just go Krato, or we go.
If you have a crappy name, you just do all letters like IUPUI. Like if your name just totally stinks, you just go all abbreviations.
Or what I was thinking is we just take out all the vowels. So it's Creighton, but we just take out the E, I, and O. And so it's just Creighton, but with only like the consonants in there.
I'm in on this.
Creighton Polytech Institute and State University. I like Mount St. Creighton.
What about going rap name and just have it Big Crate?
Big
Crate. Big Crate works.
Yes.
Big Crate.
I love that.
But they definitely can't be the Blue Jays if they're big. I'm a Big Crate Blue Jays. That kind of rolls off the tongue. The look doesn't feel it, but the Big Crate Blue Jays. Also, I've come to find out I thought Blue Jays were like nice birds. Apparently, they're punks.
Like Creighton could be in the Cap 8 conference with Broughton and like Athens Drive and all those.
Oh, Creighton definitely goes to Broughton as well.
There is a Creighton at Broughton. I think I grew up with a Creighton poster, maybe. Creighton also has that 2012 banner for preventing UNC from winning a national title. Yeah. That's the proudest moment in their program's history. All right, and let's finally, speaking of the hype machine, I got some good. Rising Rated on Friday is going to be. Oh, what you got?
Hold on, last thing. I don't think it's official yet, but did you see some of the? Maybe it won't happen now. But did you hear some of the rumors that like people thought Kerwin Walton might end up at Creighton?
No, did not.
That was that was before the Baylor Shireman committed to Creighton. But yeah, there was some rumor mill stuff that Kerwin Walton was going to head there.
If he wants to stick it to UNC, he should. Speaking of which, I forgot also on my list of college basketball, but you know we're a triangle organization, so we cover State and UNC primarily, and then Duke is third here anyway. What do you think about John Scheyer meeting the media yesterday? Can I give you my first reaction? Obviously, I knew how he talked. I knew what he sounded like, but it was just weird hearing the voice of Duke basketball being that voice. Like you're like Coach K didn't have a Southern accent. Obviously, he had a very distinctive voice that didn't fit in this region, except for the fact that it was the only voice that anyone in this region had heard talk Duke basketball for 40 years. You know what I mean? It was so weird how much Coach K's accent doesn't stand out to me. It just sounds like the sounds of college basketball, and how much hearing John Scheyer, you were like, this is a different person. That was like my main takeaway, was just hearing his accent and being like, well, this is different.
What I also, so 2 days ago was, he was introduced to the media yesterday, but 2 days ago was the first day for Jay Lucas, the new assistant coach at Duke that they brought in via Kentucky. He was also the assistant with Shaka Smart at Texas before that. But like Duke basketball put out this video on their social channels of like Jay Lucas going around Cameron and like the basketball offices on his first day. And like part of the video has him like stopping by Coach K's office and like saying what's up. And it was so predictable and so funny to see the people on Twitter being like, oh yeah, big surprise, Coach K's still around the program. It's like, yeah, that's his office, dude. Like I like, it's insane that you watched 90 seconds into this video to be like, or you were like scrolling around on the cursor to be like, is Coach K in here? I need to be angry right now. Like, it was so lame, dude. It's so lame. I love being the person that has like 5, like, and there were some big accounts doing this. Like, I love being a very famous podcast host with like 1 million followers on Twitter and literally spending seconds out of my life away from my kids and my wife and my family being like, is Coach K in this Duke video? I need to know. And then getting mad about it. Like, just absolutely loser shit.
It's pretty typical too, like especially like for Kentucky fans to do it. I mean, Calipari's in every Kentucky video, and he hasn't coached there in years. So,
just to be clear, we don't need to identify who you're talking about, but that wasn't me. I didn't do that.
It was big perm.
Yeah, but podcast Raleigh has 1 million followers.
That's right. I figured he was trying to pat me on the back a little bit. We're like 500,000. We're like
I will say, Perbar, like 2 weekends ago, I was out and someone brought up like you in podcast Raleigh to me.
Woo! Crushing it, podcast Raleigh. We're dropping an episode with the president of William Peace University.
He said your co-host is better than you, though. So.
She is. She runs the city.
William Peace sounds cooler than Creighton. I would.
William Peace. What I just want to, Swain, what do you think about the roster moves? Not coaching staff wise. Obviously, it feels cool, and people were talking about the like yoink from Kentucky's bench. Then Schrager coming back in. And Nolan Smith going to Louisville. What do you feel about the shakeups?
I mean, I think you obviously hate to see Nolan Smith go, right? Like he's been such a big part of Duke basketball, but also like a big part of Durham as well. But it's also like super understandable that he'd want to go, where his dad played and to coach with somebody that his dad played with. Kind of same thing with Jay Lucas, right? Like his dad's from Durham. He mentioned in the video that he has 40 cousins in Durham.
I didn't know that until I didn't know he had ties to the Triangle until that video, which is cool.
So that makes sense as well. But it is kind of there are two things to it. It's a strong flex going into Lexington and being like, dude, lateral move from Kentucky to Duke, and they just kind of like completely shits on Kentucky, and I'm a huge fan of that. But the second thing is it's kind of like a page out of what Coach K would have done. I know that everybody's saying like, oh, Scheyer's doing his own thing because he's going outside of the family, but it's a page out of his book because he's going to have a guy on staff that's going to focus on recruiting while the coaches focus on coaching. And I think that is that's a huge plus for the Duke staff. They essentially Scheyer replaced himself with himself. Yeah. And then he gets to focus on running the basketball team, and I think that's a huge luxury for a coach now. And I think the one thing that you haven't really seen Duke dabble in much is the transfer portal, and obviously Kentucky has, and so Lucas knows that game a little bit, but he's also just an absolute ace recruiter as we've seen it at Kentucky as well. So I think it's a huge win overall. It sucks, losing one of the like top 5 favorite guys that every Duke fan would say is on their list in Nolan Smith, but pulling Lucas in is a big win.
Yeah, I mean, you had a tweet saying this on a couple days ago, Swain, and it was a great point. It's also like, just to be clear, like in the 2 years that Jay Lucas was at Kentucky, he helped land Ty Washington, who's going to be a first-round pick this year, Shaedon Sharp, who's going to be a top 6 to 7 pick this year, Damian Collins, who's a 5-star guy, and Cason Wallace, who's an incoming, top 5, top 10 prospect in this class. So like you got like dudes to come to Lexington pretty quickly. And I think it's also important that like not only are you finding someone to like really like head up and be like the top recruiter at Duke, and you're also weakening a rival while you're doing it, but you're also doing it at a time where like there's never been more competition for landing the guys that Duke and Kentucky are going after, right? And I'm talking about like not like transfer portal players. I'm talking about like the top 25 prospects in each recruiting class, because Overtime Elite, G League Ignite, playing internationally, it's just like I don't think guys have always had some options, but they've been fairly limited. And even now there's only like a handful of options, but that's more than like the one option, the 2 options you had a couple of years ago. So again, not only are you like sticking it to Kentucky, you're doing it at a time where like they're probably more vulnerable than they've been before, and like Kentucky will probably be fine because it's Kentucky. Come on, like they're gonna be good next year, But like it just
if they find the right head coach. I mean,
yeah, well, there is that, but I just think the timing of it even adds like a little more, I don't know, spice, zest to the addition. Again, it's like it's happening at a time not when like Kentucky is sitting like. Again, Kentucky they're a little more vulnerable now, I think, than they've been at any point in the last like decade under Cal. That could be wrong, but I kind of think just looking at some of the other existential factors, I think that's true.
Didn't Duke land somebody in the transfer portal?
Yes, they've landed 2 guys in the transfer portal.
Like depth guy, and nobody that's going to come in and play significant minutes. Which, again, like that's kind of the.
They got Dontrez Styles from UNC. What?
The game that you play in the transfer portal is you have to be able to sell minutes, right? And that's also the game that you play in high school recruiting. And so you're not gonna do both, right? Like you're not gonna land 2 or 3 first-round draft picks in high school recruiting and then go out and get 2 starters from the transfer portal. That's not how you're going to be able to build your team because you can't sell that to anybody. So I think we'll continue to see Duke just kind of bring in depth pieces from the transfer portal unless there's a immediate need that they need to fill.
I mean, it seems like the 2 guys they've gotten are in like a similar mold to Bates Jones and Theo John this past season, right?
Exactly.
Got Ryan Young from Northwestern who's a backup center, and not like a rim protector like Theo John, but like I actually watched a fair amount of Northwestern last couple of years. Like, isn't a guy that can really play above like 20 minutes a game, but like on a per minute per possession basis is like a pretty good scorer, can pass from the elbow. And then they also got Kel Ketchings, who seems like the Bates Jones, facsimile, right? Like, 6'6", combo forward that can kind of shoot a little bit from a good school.
It's also the other thing about the profile of the guys that they bring in is it's like, we need you to be gone next year. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to come in for 1 year, but we need you to get up out of here after this year. This isn't a come wait your turn situation. You're going to come in. You're going to get a bunch of gear. You're going to sit on the bench. You might play like 5 to 6 minutes a game, and then you're going to get out of here. And that's kind of the profile of the guy that they're looking for.
Come in, hack Armando Bacot a couple times, and keep our starters in.
It does feel like they have like a spot to play with a little bit. Like I assume Keels isn't coming back. And so I don't know, Swain, what do you think do you think Roach, Whitehead, Mitchell, Filipowski, Lively, is that the starting 5 next year?
I don't. There's a lot of smoke around the Keels conversation.
Yeah,
Swain's checking his DMs right now to get the latest.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there's been a lot more smoke in the last week than there has been since he declared. So I don't know what's going on there, but kind of the rumors are they've got a couple guys that are in a holding pattern that are in the portal, kind of waiting on Trevor Keels. So
yeah,
a couple of different options.
Yeah, makes sense. And he has until June 1st that's the deadline for him to decide. I haven't looked at the full combine invite list, but I'm sure he was invited. I even saw Darion Sebron and Jaquavion Smith that were also invited to the combine. That starts in I think 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks. I think it starts the 16th or the 17th in Chicago. So, it's one of those things. It's like you could see him maybe go to that and then try to make a decision after it. Whether I doubt he would play in the scrimmages, but maybe he would. But you at least go up there and do some of the testing and interviews and stuff. Talk to people.
All right, and finally today, I mean this in no way to make light of tragedy, nor do I wish to take away from a North Carolina and Virginia landmark. But once again, Goodson, and my least favorite part of all this is saying that Goodson is right. But as Goodson likes to point out, the Blue Ridge Parkway continues to prove itself to be a dangerous place. So a car went off the road, turned over a couple times, and somebody was killed. Goodson, do you feel good being right in this? Like somebody has to die to prove you right?
No, it's just I literally don't understand how this doesn't happen daily. To be honest with you,
to put a positive,
to
put a positive spin on it, they should put out news stories like driver and passenger make it safely off the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yes,
that should be the headline.
1,000 people were on the Parkway today, and there were no accidents.
Like that should be a daily headline. Just put a positive spin on it because it is a story if you make it off of that thing without driving off of a cliff.
Great views. Have you guys ever read there's a book that talks about the ways that different people die in like national parks?
I have not read that book actually. No.
Most of the time, it's like fairly popular. People talk about it, like the ways people have died in the Grand Canyon. Most of the times, it's much like on the Blue Ridge Parkway, this is like, look, we're going to give you something cool because we're going to give you like a ability to see in the mountains, right? We're going to give you views of Grand Canyon, but just be a little bit careful about your surroundings because, if you fall down into the canyon, it's a long way and you will die. Like if you drive too fast on the Blue Ridge Parkway, it is a windy road with the possibility of bad things happening.
Or like, let me grab this selfie real quick. Oh shit, I'm falling over.
Dude, it's amazing. Or like when the thing says this water is 600 degrees and will immediately burn you, and you're like, I don't know, I got to find out. It's like, F around, find out.
But like, dude, the human mind works like that though. Like,
definitely.
I remember when we were in DC and we like were outside of the White House, your mind is thinking like, how far can I make it if I jump this fence? How close can I get? How many steps can I take? That's the kind of thing you think about it, and people get stupid like that.
I've been on the Blue Ridge Parkway with my wife and been like cruising at, probably 5 miles over the speed limit, and you're like, yeah, this, then you do one turn and all of a sudden, like you almost kill a cyclist or like somebody's a little bit over the yellow and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm backing down a few. I am not going to go faster. I'm going to ride that brake. So, dude,
if you're riding a bike on the Blue Ridge Parkway,
dude, it's crazy. Or if you drive, they close it down a lot of times when it gets snowy. But if you drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway when it's snowing, then you truly have a death wish. So.
Or foggy. Yeah,
get out of here. So enjoy our national parks. Appreciate that we can get this close to nature, but yeah, be careful when you're out there. Goodson, heed warning. Yes, bike on the Parkway, death wish. Yeah. All right, Canes tonight. Predicted scores. Anybody? Only because I got it right last time. I'm going to give you 3-2 in overtime. Canes.
How many overtimes?
Just one. I don't have time for multiple overtimes.
2-1 Canes.
2-1 Canes. All right. Anybody else want to? You don't have to, but I want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 Canes. Regulation, though, obviously.
Shout out
15-0.
15-0. That was like the Mudcats last night beat the Augusta Green.
Avalanche and Predators were headed that way last night. It was 5-0 at the end of the first period.
Speaking of tweet, I should put this up there. All I saw was a tweet that's like, let's check in on what's going on in Nashville. And like the goalie was like out of the goal skating and then like bangs his face on the goal and falls down. It was like, no, things are not good.
Yeah, it was 2-0 3 minutes in. Like you're pretty much just done at that point.
Oh, this is almost where shit. No.
Are we not gonna talk about the potential greatest achievement in the history of sports that could be happening in the next couple weeks here?
Hold on. I just want to give people the since we talked about it. Let's check in on how things are going in Nashville. Doesn't it almost look like, I feel like this happens more and more, and I'm not calling out goalies because I know that the NHL is like a tough sport. This happened in another game last night. I feel like, and we've seen Canes goalies maybe be guilty of this too. You know that goalies are protected. So at a point, like if you feel some contact as a goalie and you go down, you're letting the ref know like, yo, that guy contacted me. Does it not look a little bit like the goalie's like flopping off of the?
I think he's trying to knock the net off. Is what he's trying to do. Like I didn't see that game, but what it looks like to me is he's trying to get the net to get a whistle. That's what it looks like he's trying to do. And you can't just like use your hands and push, like that would be a penalty if you do that. But if you're like, oh, I'm going after this, oh shit, I hit the net, and then
something did not look natural about when he did that.
I think that's what he's trying to do is just get a whistle.
Swain, he looks like Jimmy on Better Call Saul trying to move the patients only sign outside his therapist's office.
That was incredible.
All right, Swain, only because we have other people on the broadcast who appear to know what you're talking about, the greatest thing in the history of sports, I will allow you a few minutes. We got our man
Andrew Watson.
He's also, look, he even knows where the game's being played.
Ooh, $1,000 in Paris. Yeah, Goodson, I need the PayPal. We're going to Paris.
Let's see if Sports Show, like, if we get you a credential, I'll pay for you to go.
All right. Done. Yeah. So Liverpool already won the League Cup. They're in the championship for the FA Cup. They're in the championship for the Champions League, and they're 1 point behind Man City for the English Premier League. So we could be looking at 4 trophies this year, which is unheard of, and it is the greatest accomplishment in the history of sports.
They re-signed Klopp too the other week,
Yeah,
right?
2026.
So that's already. I mean, that's a championship in and of itself. It's probably multiple championships, honestly.
I don't know. Coach Cam
I was enjoying seeing Liverpool fans celebrate that by just like posting photos of Klopp like drinking beers in like various places. He seems like a cool guy.
Can we get him to coach the American team? He seems like he's good.
Maybe 2027. Maybe that's why he signed to 2026. He's going to come do U.S. national team in the World Cup.
All right, I'll take it. Congrats! When's the Champions League final?
It's not for a few weeks.
Is it one game or is it two games?
The championship is one game.
All right,
usually too. Usually.
All right.
Oh, and we do have to talk about Norwich City relegated. Sorry, British Tar Heel.
Well, no, we've had beef with Norwich because they tried to beat NCFC, and it's like
they got mad at us for being NCFC.
We're NCFC.
Yeah.
You're relegated because of
that.
All right, go Canes tonight for Goodson, Swain, BG, and the injured Weather Moose. I'm Hayes. We out.
Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8.